Here we're looking at the domain of this function f of x. Remembering that domain is the values of x in this case that we can input into our function. So a couple of things to look at here. For starters, I'm going to just look at the 1 divided by the square root. Now, we know that we cannot divide by a value that is equal to 0, so we can't go 1 divided by 0. So the first thing I want to just make sure that we have covered off or ticked off is that we want to make sure that the square root of x squared minus 16 is not equal to 0. Now, there's actually two values that we can't use for this one. So x cannot be equal to 4 and x cannot equal negative 4. So that's just something to keep in mind as we're going through. All right, so the next thing we need to look at is we need to examine what's underneath the square root. Now, hopefully we can recognize that we cannot square root a negative number. So that means that x squared minus 16 must be greater than 0. Now notice I wrote greater than 0, but not equal to 0, because that's the statement I made up here. So I'm just looking for a statement where x squared minus 16 is greater than 0. That means it is a positive result. So x squared is greater than 16. What we get from there is we get x squared. Now, if you're just solving this, and I might actually do this over here. If we just solve it, so we've got x squared is equal to 16. Therefore, x is equal to plus or minus 4. Now, there is two options that we could possibly be. So I'll just get rid of this x for the moment and just draw out a small number line. The two options that we have is that the x value can be between those two values of negative 4 and positive 4, or potentially it could be less than negative 4, negative 4 is there, and greater than 4. Now, remembering that at all times we must have x squared greater than 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test a point within these two situations. So I'll test a point somewhere in there, and I'll make, let's make x equal to 1. Now, if I make x equal to 1, I'll pop that in and substitute that into my equation or my inequality. 1 squared, is that greater than 16? No, it is not. So unfortunately, this one definitely does not work. So therefore, process of elimination, we should therefore realize that it's definitely going to be the next situation. But just to make sure, let's test a number value anyway. So I'm going to test x is equal to 5, let's say. So I'll test that. So I'm going to go 5 squared. Is that greater than 16? Well, yes it is, because 5 squared is 25. So that one works as well. I'm going to go down to the other side and test that one as well. So I'm just going to choose a value. I'll choose a different value. I'll choose negative 6. All right, so I'll test that as well. Negative 6, I'm going to put that in brackets, square it. Is that greater than 16? Yes, because negative 6 squared, that's positive 36, because negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. So that's a big tick there as well. So it looks like our domain is going to be x, and we're going to have to write this in two different parts. X is going to be less than negative 4, but we can't be equal to negative 4 because that's the statement we made in the top right-hand corner over here. And x is, and I'll put an and between them, x is greater than 4 as well. And remember, it's not equal to it. Once again, top left-hand corner cannot be equal to 4 as well. So I've got to write down a few other statements here. So we're going to go with x, and we're going to go dot dot colon. X is an element of any real, given that x is less than negative 4 and x is greater than 4. And we'll put our squiggly brackets around it as well. All right, hope that's helped.